Hi guys, today you're going to be doing a little non-vascular plant reading, and it says you're going to use the reading to help you solve the joke at the end. You only need to submit the answer to the joke in the text box, so you don't actually have to put all the answers to the questions, although you can. There's only 10 questions to begin with. You're going to be clicking on this PDF document here. Now it says CAMI export. You cannot write in the document though. It's not an actual CAMI document. It is still a PDF. So you might want to have open, a Google Doc next to it, or even just a regular piece of paper so that you can write your answers to the 10 questions down. So when you click on this, it is going to open up a document that looks like this. It says non-vascular plants level 1. You don't really need to be concerned with what level 1 means. It goes on to, I believe, level 2 as well, and there's another reading there. And then here are the questions. So you're going to be answering these 10 questions, and if you notice, there are numbers under some of the letters there, or some of the spaces. And that is going to correspond with the things down here. So you would be putting, the letter that's up here in the second space down in number 25. So right down here. And that's going to end up creating a big joke for you. And of course, it has to do with plants. So I'll show you how to do a couple of these questions here, and then I'll leave you guys to the rest of it. Let me pull this over here. I just have a blank Word document up so that I can write down the answers. And the first question is, when a sperm fertilizes an egg, the result is a blank. So you would want to read through this whole thing here, starting at level 1. And they do kind of go in order, kind of. So now let's tackle one of those categories on page 15, the non-vascular plants. These plants don't have whatever vascular is. The word vascular comes from the Latin word vascularis, meaning a vessel or duct that has some kind of fluid flowing through it. So vascular plants have vessels running through them, and non-vascular plants don't. Non-vascular plants are basically mosses and make up the division called bryophytes. The word bryophyte comes from two Greek words, bryon meaning moss and phyton meaning plant. A related type of plant, the liverwort, is usually put into this category also. If you want to know more about liverworts, read level 2, and you will be reading level 2 because it also has the answers to some of the questions in it. This lesson is on moss, that soft green stuff you find growing around the roots of trees or between bricks on your shady patio. Mosses are a bit strange and deserve their own category because they don't have seeds and they don't have proper roots or stems or leaves. But they are still plants because they use photosynthesis. If we want to talk about the parts of a moss plant, we really can't talk about their leaves because technically they don't have leaves. But they do have green things that look like leaves. And these green things do carry on photosynthesis, so we'll just use the word leaves, but with quote marks around it indicating that we know that mosses don't really have leaves. For roots, we'll say rhizoids. The rhizoid's job is to anchor the moss to the ground. They don't take up water like the roots of a vascular plant do. We'll talk about the spirophyte on the next page. Sorry to leave you in suspense for a few minutes. A vascular system is a system of pipes that allows plants to pump water to all parts of the plant, no matter how tall or wide the plant grows. Non-vascular plants don't have this system. The only way the parts of a non-vascular plant can get water to absorb it right into their cells when it rains or when dew falls. For this reason, non-vascular plants must stay very small and must be in places where it stays damp. Where have you seen mosses growing? If they are in your lawn, they certainly aren't out in the sun when the sun shines a lot. They'll be in shady spots, such as around the bases of large trees. Some mosses can tolerate a bit of sun, but very few can survive all-day sun. Cells that are not on the outside surface get their water by a process called osmosis. This is a strange sounding name for a simple idea. Osmosis is when a lot of something moves to a place where there is a lot less of it. In a crowded building, this might mean people moving from crowded rooms to empty rooms. Once all the rooms are equally filled, people will stop moving. In plants, osmosis means water molecules moving from the cells that have lots of water to cells that have less water. So here we have moist cells, and you can see these little dots in here represent the water molecules, and they are moving down to where the dry cells are. Osmosis reminds me of the word ooze, and this guy's saying, yeah, it does. Mosses have a very strange life cycle, so we still have not found the answer to that first question yet. Like many forms of life, they produce male and female cells. However, they produce spores like mushrooms do. They alternate back and forth between producing spores and producing male and female cells. This cycle is called alternation of generations. The moss plant, technically called a gametophyte, grows a stalk at the top, and at the top of the stalk is a sporophyte appears. The sporophyte produces spores, of course. The sporophyte bursts open, and all the spores float down and land somewhere in the nearby vicinity. It's best for the moss if they just land a little bit away, but not too much. If they land too close, the bed of moss won't grow larger, but if they land too far away, it might be out in an area that isn't suitable for a moss to grow, too sunny, for example. When the spores land, they grow into a green mat-like thing that starts to produce little male and female parts. The male parts produce sperm, and the female parts produce eggs, just like in animals. Then, the egg and sperm must join together to form a zygote. So I do believe that that is the answer to our first question. When a sperm fertilizes an egg, the result is a zygote. So number 1 would be zygote. I need to increase that some. You can see it. Okay. Question number 2, the process by which cells in a moss plant receive water. We talked about that one a bit ago. Back up here with the water stuff, it's called osmosis. I told you they kind of go in order, but not exactly. The part at the top of the stalk on a moss plant. Oh, back down here again. At the top of the stalk is called a sporophyte. And question number 4, mosses and liverworts are members of this group. That was all the way back up in the beginning. Mosses, they're called bryophytes. Okay, and that's actually all the answers we have so far to number 4. I'm going to stop there as far as like giving you the answers, because if you just keep on reading, you'll figure out the rest of them. Some of them you will have to go back up to the beginning for. But whenever you get down to here, to fill this in, remember you're using these letters here. So I would be using a Y and the T and the E are also going to be used. But they don't go in that order. It's not going to be Y, T, E. You have to make sure that you put them, in the numbers that they correspond with. And it will make sense to you whenever you answer it. So if you're looking at it and you have no idea what a word is, then you probably either misspelled something or maybe you just counted incorrectly. And then you'll submit the answer to that joke in the text box. If you guys have any other questions about how to continue doing this assignment, please let me know. Other than that, I will talk to you later.